Welcome to my Hebrew channel. Today I'm going to be looking at a Hebrew concept of comparative mem. It's a word or letter that's used to first explain where things are derived from, that is a mem of origin. And then there's another style of mem that's known as a comparative mem, a mem that brings comparison between two different things. That the second one's far more complex situation to figure out because you have to define what two pieces are compared. And so, and which is better, which is longer, which is taller, which is wider, which is smarter, and so forth. So, yeah, there's a comparison made through the mem. So, and I'm going to be looking at a phrase from Psalm 118. It's better to take refuge in Jehovah than to trust in princes or trust in men or people. So we'll get to that eventually. That's a very nice, one of the best examples of comparative mem that I could find in the scriptures. And so start with Genesis 26, and this is the preposition standing all by itself here, independent preposition. Ve'ed, that is a mist. Ye'aleh, a min haaretz, this mist was going up. Okay, very well known verb here, going up. Preposition of el, al is very well known as well, el elyon, and so forth. So Ya'aleh, Ya'aleh min haaretz, from the earth. Okay, double segulate here. Adna is an accent, so the earth, very much in parallel with Adamah here. So min haaretz, hishka et kol fenei Adamah, and then it gave a drink. This is a causative form, cause to give a drink, cause to water. We put it in as water, and it's literally give a drink. Hishka et, direct object marker, kol, all, fene, the face of. Faces of is plural concept form of fene here, but hadama, of the earth, okay, of the ground. And I translate red ground because Adam is like Edomites, okay, the red. So, and I put this in because Genesis, first three chapters of Genesis emphasize the color red very powerfully. So I'm going to just include it here. Try to bring that also out in the translation of Adamah, from the red ground. So men right here, mem of origin. And we have another mem of origin over here, me lechem. And this is now, notice that it is now agglutinated, joined up, and lost the nun. Okay, nun's been assimilated, and in its place is just a singular. And so this puts it right in the package with the be and the ke, the kaf, mem kaf bet. So this is part of that package. Then the other ones often don't have their independent pronouns anymore, but this one still has an independent pronoun of min. But here it is now totally agglutinated with just a single consonant. So Vihine Boaz ba mibet lechem, and then later, or take a look, behold, hey, hine, okay, two arms up in the air like this, hine, Boaz, okay, in power, a man in power. I think we find that in some places also as a construction, in power, Boaz, man with power. Ba came, uh, third person form of this. The dictionary likes to list it with a vav, but it's better off just the beit halaf here. Ba, the verb. He came. Mebet lechem, from me. Beit lechem, okay, came from Beit lechem. And often this is tied with a makif, but in this case it is standing separately from the house of bread. Vayomer lekotzrim Yehovah imechem. Vayomeru lo yebercha Yehovah. Just remember those. Those are some very beautiful blessings. Even work today in modern Hebrew. Yebercha Yehovah. Okay? We won't say Yehovah, not Israel, of course, but Yebercha. Okay? Yebercha. Bless you. May God bless you. And you can put in Yebercha Hashem if you want to do that way. So, Vayomer Lakatzrim, to the harvesters, to the reapers, Kots are the ones that cut and gather. Okay, Hakotzrim, Yehovah, okay, Imahim is with you. Same im as you find in Immanuel, okay. Imahim, plural ending here. And if you want to be from Texas, from you all, okay, Imahim, Vayomeru, and then they said, no, this is a singular verb here, plural verb here. Yomeru, lo, they said to him, Yevarcha, Yehovah, Jehovah bless you. Mem of origin, right here, this one attached right in front. And now a little bit more complex passage from Genesis 3, verse 1, and talking about the serpent, Hanahas. Okay, it isn't until the book of Revelation that we find Hanahas defined as Satan. So throughout the scriptures, Nahas and Satan are kept separately throughout the Old Testament, but it's a very well understood that most certainly the serpent was Satan here, and the New Testament that clarifies that. Ve'hanahas haya arum mekol hait hasadeh. Okay, and then the serpent was astute, crafty, okay, arum, smart, okay, arum. Mikol compared to all, okay? Mikol from all, okay? So if you took the way you translate as an origin, you go from all, but from all we understand compared to all, okay? So it adds that other layer to you're starting with the derived form or the derivation or the origin form of the mem, and you have a little bit more understanding attached to that, okay? From all, compared to all, okay? Kol hayat hasadeh asher asa Yehovah Elohim, which Jehovah God made. Vayomer al ha'isha af ki amar Elohim, and then he said to the woman, af certainly, ki amar has said, God, Lo tochlu, don't eat of, mikol from all, it's hagan. So don't eat of all of the garden. Okay, so all of the tree of the garden. Okay, any tree of the garden. So the Satan is using the words of God to tempt the Eve here, Aisha. Okay, the woman here, Aisha. And so we have comparative mem up here, mikol, and we have a mem of origin down here, mikol, from, and you can then take the word from, okay, and translate that as the mem of origin here. And this one would be more comparative, more or smarter, or craftier. So this is a comparative mem. This one's a mem of origin. They're both mems, and both of them carry out a function. This one carries it out just a little bit more relationship to the rest of the passage. And I have a couple of comparative mems here in Psalm 118, 8 and 9. Tov lechas hasot be'Yehovah mi betoach be'adam. Tov lehashot be'Yehovah mi botach be'nid Bim, Bim. Wow, a whole series of helix right here. Here, go. E. Okay. Bean, Bean. Okay, Bean. Here, accenting as nice to see Luke right at the end here, putting the accenting at the Yod position. So, Tov lehosot is better than, better to take refuge, lehosot, in order to take refuge, lamed a purpose in front of a infinitive infinitive here, verb, and better take refuge, Jehovah and Jehovah, than to trust in man. Better to take refuge in Jehovah than to trust in princes. Bin dibim, bin dibim. During a lifetime of teaching biblical Hebrew, I can always, just about every time, I can remember presenting the comparative mem. I'll put it up on the board first. First we use chalk and whiteboards and so forth. Later on, we of course use projectors. But every time I put it up, and then I'd go another 10 minutes in the class, and then I'd put it up again, and invariably students just didn't wrap their heads around what was going on with the comparative mem. So this is one thing that's worth studying because it gives us a lot of good stuff when we understand it. But it does require understanding as to how things are compared. Okay, the translator has to figure out which elements of the passage are being compared and how they are being compared. If it's better, higher, smarter, whatever it is. During a lifetime of teaching biblical Hebrew, I've noticed that students often learn the mem of origin very quickly. Okay, they just learn the word from, and that's it. You've got it. Okay, easy. Usually, it just takes one word to translate a mem of origin, from. The comparative mem is much harder to translate because it requires the translator to determine the elements that are being compared. Okay? What is being set in front of what else? When you see something like better, higher, longer, smarter, whatever, wiser, then start looking in the translation, start looking for a mem of comparison. It can be difficult, but once the principles of how the comparative mem work in Hebrew, or once those are understood, the concept becomes very valuable. It's a great tool, really, for comparing one thing with another. Man's way is compared to God's way. Satan is compared to everyone else. You see that in Genesis 3, verse 1. Evil is compared to good, and so follow the path that leads to Christ. It's much better than the highway that leads to perdition. So we often have the opportunity to compare two different roads in front of us, and what do we do with it? Please, please, please follow the road of obedience to Christ, obedience to God. And so now, till the next time, till we see you again.